I was delighted to see that walkout at Google, by the way. What's the old Winston Churchill joke? An appeaser is somebody who feeds the crocodile in the hope that it'll eat him last. Google's been feeding the social justice crocodile endlessly, and then it comes for it. It eats the master. It's like some terrific Aesop tale. They have an amazing thing. I was reading actually in this book I mentioned earlier, White Shift. I saw the stat for, I mean, considering the amount of Google preaching about how the rest of the world is meant to be, I was very struck to discover that of its workforce in the US, only 2 to 3, I think a maximum of 4% of the workforce is Black American. And that's a woeful, if that was government, you know, they'd be castigating them. Google can't practice what it preaches on these things. I saw, by the way, one description of the walkout said, you know, there's this inherent sexism in Google, and gave as an example Jamie Damore's memo from whenever it was last year, which of course led to James Damore being fired on the spot for saying what he thought that could be useful for the company. And this is fascinating. So these things keep on eating their own. But they have astonishing power. And I have to say, I've spent a certain amount of time in Silicon Valley recently and trying to work out some of what they've been doing, all this stuff with shadow banning and this. And it is terrifying because obviously, you know, it's a cliche, but obviously what we're going through is at least as important as the creation of the printing press, probably much more so. And it's already fundamentally altering almost everything in our society. But the people in charge of making these decisions about this, company like Google, very often seem to me to have no awareness of the historical arguments. You know, they go round on this, you know, if only somebody had thought about freedom of the press before, you know. If only somebody had done some thinking on this matter. I mean, you want to ask them to Google it, but I suppose that's... But, you know, they are wielding this extraordinary power, and they seem to me, among other things, to be totally unsuited for the job. And let me give you one example of what's going on at the moment, and this is a very dangerous trend. They seem to be deciding, because, you see, there's this thing about, let me just get on to this now, there's this thing about the hate speech, which the social media companies have gone hell for leather for. And I am very, very nervous about everything in this discussion. I think I loathe the term hate speech. I think there's incitement, and then there's just speech. And this thing of hate speech that can be basically in the eye of the beholder or in the eye of the accuser means that social media companies have decided their job is to police this hate speech. And then you have this very, very strange standard that's now emerged where, so for instance, Lashkar-e-Taiba, who carried out the Mumbai terrorist attack, until I think July, they still had a Twitter account. Like, they were still tweeting. Why? I don't know, maybe Twitter hadn't done any work on Lashkar-e-Taiba. Maybe they'd forgotten about the Mumbai massacre. You know, I don't know. I mean, it seems unbelievably irresponsible. But at the same time, there's a load of right-wing people who are chucked off Twitter for hate speech. So it's like, how come you get to carry out the Mumbai massacre and still tweet? And, you know, if you once, you know, used the wrong meme, you know, Twitter comes for you and you're banned for life. And so what they are doing, and this is a very, very, this has to be pushed back against with all the force we have, that they are trying to make violent extremism on that side, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, as it were, side, equivalent to things they don't like on the political right, and call them both extremism. And this makes, apart from anything else, the majorities of at least very large proportions, if not majorities of the public, hate speech, extremism, extremist content. And this just comes up all the time. Jordan and I were saying the other day that, there was a report, I mentioned it to a lady in the break, but there was a report in the Jerusalem Post the other week that apparently from Israel, a video of Jordan's and a video of mine were hidden, or no, they were banned by YouTube in Israel as extremist content or something. I don't know. And whenever that gets flagged up, then what happened on that one is YouTube says, oh, it was a mistake. Yeah, it's always a mistake once they're caught. And it just seems to me very one-directional, this stuff. But yes, and the teams, this is the other thing, the teams that just went straight from the Obama administration, among other things, straight to the Silicon Valley jobs and so on. They're all the people who spent all those years talking about violent extremism and all that conveyor belts to extremism. And I just think they're going to cause unbelievable problems. And I just think we've got to keep highlighting this because it's coming for everyone. Absolutely everyone.